Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, man, we got a very shocking video by Andy Hoops titled 6 times Michael Jordan, not Eichel Jordan, man. Michael Jordan almost got traded. And straight up, I can't think of a single time where I would even think about trading Michael Jordan. Unless, hypothetically it was like later in his NBA career and you had a chance to get like Luke Kennard in like a 7th round draft, man. You gotta think about the rebuild and stuff like that, right, man? Michael Jordan's getting old and stuff. That's the only circumstance I can really think of right here. But straight up, here we go. 6 times Michael Jordan almost got traded. What?
What? Really?
Hey, yo! That's what I said. I said what?
Trading away Michael Jordan? Yup. While looking back, in hindsight, it would be simply ridiculous for the Bulls to ever consider trading him.
Yeah, you don't even think about it.
It wasn't as clear back in the day, and many analysts believed his style of play could not lead them to a championship.
Straight up though, to be 100%, that's how it is right now though. Analysts back in the day were no different than how they are now. It's like there's a trade room for anything out there, man. If you want a trade room, man, you can find one. There's a trade room for every single player, every single circumstance, for every single reason. So, like I said, man, if Woj don't say it or Smooth don't post it, man, it's not true, right?
Of course, they were all wrong, but back then, his game was debatable. It wasn't cut and dry. Most of these trade proposals happened on draft
with
night.
a bad hairline.
Nobody was sure if he'd have the capability to lead a team as well as Magic or Bird.
Yo, little did they know.
Or if you'll go the route of the typical super athlete without the leadership and charisma to succeed. Anyway, in this video, let's take a look at 6 different times when MJ almost got traded.
Juiced up.
How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and without further ado, let's get started.
Give me that Pistons trade. Make my day.
Michael Jordan for Terry Cummings.
Oh, God. Bro, y'all see that last name? Do I need to even mention anything else, man? Come on, man. Can you imagine trading Michael Jordan? Can you imagine the memes? Okay, I'm not going to say his last name, man. I'm not going to say it, but y'all know what I'm saying.
Before Jordan got drafted in 1984, nobody knew how good he was going to be. Yeah, he was amazing in college, but a lot of
I have the maturity of a 7-year-old man, but I
players
just can't
end
say
up
his last
failing
name.
in the NBA. So the Bulls, holding the 3rd
Cummings,
pick of the
I said
draft,
it.
decided to
I
shop
said it.
around a little bit. They called a few teams here and there just to gauge the market value of the pick. That's where the Clippers came in, with Terry Cummings. Now, for those who don't know him, Cummings ultimately turned out to be a perennial 20 points per game scorer, as well as a 2-time All-Star. He was drafted in 1982,
Joe Johnson,
and in his first 2 years, he was fantastic, but it was speculated he had some heart problems. They wanted the 3rd pick. They wanted to flip Cummings in a deal to land a franchise player, which they believed they could get with the 3rd pick, whether it's Hakeem or Sam Bowie or Michael Jordan.
2 out of 3 of those would be correct.
They preferred the 2 big men, but they liked Jordan too. For the Bulls, they actually thought about taking this deal and trading the 3rd pick for Cummings, mainly because they also preferred either Hakeem or Bowie, but they knew they could not get them. Ultimately, and thankfully, the Bulls backtracked and changed their mind and settled on drafting Jordan. Good choice.
Fantastic.
Michael Jordan for the number 1 and number 6 picks of the 1988 draft.
Okay.
4 seasons into MJ's career, and his team had mixed feelings on him. On one hand, Jordan catapulted into superstardom, making All-Star games, All-NBA teams, winning scoring titles, and just flat out dominating. But that didn't stop the Bulls from considering a deal. According to the book The Jordan Rules by Sam Smith, he stated that the Bulls were once again considering dealing him to the Clippers, this time in exchange for picks in the '88 draft.
I'm sorry, man, but when you have a player as good as Michael Jordan, I'm sorry, man. If your owner or GM or anybody's even talk about trading the man, you gotta fire the man. You gotta get more of a tougher GM out there or something like that, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. Come on, man, it's Michael Jordan.
For this was, apparently, the Bulls management, especially Jerry Krause, really did not like Jordan.
Jerry Krause, I've heard stories.
He thought he was an arrogant, selfish ball hog and had trouble getting along with his teammates. He believed he was a cancer in the locker room and couldn't see him ever developing the leadership skills to win. Likewise, Jordan also despised Krause and his
Everybody
decision-making.
despises Krause.
Throughout his career, we've seen him criticize Krause many times, even during his Hall of Fame speech.
Yo, the fat joke's gotta stop though, Jordan. Come on, man. Leave the guy alone. Leave the guy alone.
This animosity reached an all-time high in 1988, where MJ was absolutely furious that Krause traded away Charles Oakley, a tough-nosed bruiser and MJ's close friend. All of this tension, all of this buildup led to the 1988 offseason, where the Bulls got so close to pulling the trigger. But they did not.
Yeah, who was the picks in those drafts?
I can't imagine where MJ's career would have gone with the Clippers, but it couldn't be good.
Clippers curse.
Oh, and those two picks in the proposed trade turned out to be Danny Manning and Hershey Hawkins. Great.
Oh! You always you know what? This has to stay though, man, because Hershey Hawkins' name is Hershey. And Hershey's, I believe, is in Pennsylvania, and that's where the Sixers are at, man. No, wait. It's Philadelphia. But regardless, man, you know, Hershey's, yeah, it just makes sense. Yeah, you can, Michael Jordan.
Great players, but obviously not on Jordan's level.
Pennsylvania's in Philadelphia,
Jordan
right?
For Tree Rollins.
Oh, God.
As I mentioned earlier, the Bulls' priority in the '84 draft was not taking a guard. They desperately needed a center. So desperate, in fact, that they were willing to deal him on draft night to the Hawks for Tree Rollins.
Tree Rollins.
A 7'1" center who, in 1984, averaged fewer than 9 points and 8 rebounds a game.
Blocks.
That's how desperate the Bulls were. Although he was a defensive powerhouse, a blocking machine that caught the interest of the Bulls. On the other end of this ridiculous trade proposal, imagine if it did go through. We would see the Hawks equipped with both Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan. Can you imagine how entertaining they would be?
Night.
I mean, they'd probably be fighting for the ball and butting heads over who should be the primary scorer, but that would be exciting as hell. Two of the greatest athletes in NBA history.
Don't know why I'm saying this as a joke in my head. I don't have a way to put it in the video, so I wanted to say Dominique Williams. I don't know why. Thank you for the joke, man. Let me know the joke in the comment section below. I don't know, man.
On the same team.
Maybe it doesn't exist.
Maybe they could have won a few championships.
This was in my mind.
The Hawks in the 80s were only one piece away from being true contenders. So Jordan would be that piece, and more. Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler for Ralph Sampson.
God. They gonna get both of them? MJ and Clyde? Bro, I mean, I would love to see one of these GMs do a rebuild in NBA 2K21 these days, man. They get absolutely roasted in the comments.
Now, this trade is a bit different because it involves multiple teams, and neither of them were the Bulls. In the summer of '84, the Portland Trail Blazers held the number 2 pick of the draft, which we know was eventually used to draft Sam Bowie. They also had Clyde Drexler, a young shooting guard who, at that time, came off the bench as a rookie and didn't get many minutes. So they reached out to the Rockets, offering them a trade of Drexler and the number 2 pick for Ralph Sampson, a 7'4" beast of a center who was the real deal.
What type of stats did he put up?
The Rockets considered this offer. According to Hakeem Olajuwon's book, they really did spend a long time mulling over this offer from the Blazers.
Damn, $4.99 for that book?
If this trade went through, the Rockets would be in possession of both the number 1 and number 2 picks of the '84 draft, plus Clyde Drexler too. They planned to use the picks to draft Hakeem and Jordan, giving them this ridiculously talented trio.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if that was an NBA team? Bro. That team would probably win at least 19 championships. At least 19 championships.
Certainly the most talented Big Three in NBA history. However, what ultimately happened was that the Rockets valued Ralph Sampson way too much. It was reasonable at the time, though.
Good jump shooter.
He was putting up great numbers, making all-star teams in his first couple years.
Hell yeah,
and
look
the
at
idea
numbers.
of having a twin tower front court of him plus Hakeem, it was too enticing to pass up. Unfortunately, as most of us know, Sampson quickly deteriorated due to injuries. Knee and foot problems plagued him by the late 1980s, and it all went downhill from there. Michael Jordan for Dr. J.
Ooh.
The Sixers were...
Dr. J had to have been old head at this point, so yeah, that's a bad trade.
A major player during draft night. They were scrambling, they were making calls, reaching out to many teams
You
trying to strike a deal.
more.
One of those deals included a very interesting offer. Sixers owner Harold Katz and the entire Sixers team loved Dr. J. But by 1984, even though they won the championship 1 year prior, you could tell he was slowing down. He was approaching his mid-30s and his decline was inevitable.
Very athletic base player.
Katz was quite observant of Jordan's college years at North Carolina and thought of him as a young Dr. J. He believed in Jordan, he truly did. He believed he would be the guy who will take over the legacy of Dr.
You're gonna bite it
J.
off, man.
And their playstyles
Every
were
time I see
strikingly
that.
similar. That's when he offered Dr. J to the Bulls for the 3rd pick, and it was so close to happening. According to Katz, he stated, "I thought I had a deal with Jonathan Kovler, the owner of the Bulls, for the 3rd pick. Rod Thorne, the Bulls GM, killed that one and took Michael Jordan." Thankfully, Thorne saved Kovler from getting finessed. The logic from Kovler was that the Bulls were struggling with attendance numbers and needed that extra boost to their revenue.
Yeah, the Pistons
Dr.
traded
J
for
was
Blake
one
Griffin
of
for the
the
same
most
reason.
popular players in the league, so fans would be buying tickets and rushing to the games to see him. He would have definitely helped them financially, but from a pure basketball standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to trade a 21-year-old MJ for an aging Dr. J.
Yeah, I think we gotta think of a good comparison for that. Like, who would be a good young 21-year-old right now, where it's like they could become a great player, but you don't really know. And like, would you trade that guy for like LeBron James? You know what I'm saying? I don't know who to think of. There's somebody up there. Cause like John Morant, John Morant at that point was probably better than what Michael Jordan was at that point, right? Huh? I don't know, man.
The Sixers almost got away with it too. They could have paired MJ with Charles Barkley. And speaking of Charles Barkley, this brings us to the last trade of the video. Michael Jordan for Charles Barkley, Andrew Toney, and Clement Johnson.
The last two don't matter.
This is the only trade involving MJ that could have worked out for both teams. Here's the context. The Sixers held the 5th pick of the draft.
Scotty and Charles.
They also had a solid young shooting guard in Andrew Toney, an all-star and 20-point-per-game scorer, plus a decent backup center in Clement Johnson. This was actually a very solid proposal. I mean, the Bulls would get an absolute stud in Barkley, plus an all-star shooting guard and a solid center that they needed anyway. Just like the previous offer, Harold Katz wanted Jordan at all costs. This was another proposed offer he sent to the Bulls, and he figured that, hey, if they won't accept Dr. J for him, maybe he could be a nice mentor for Jordan. He knew MJ looked up to him, and it would be great for his development. Not only that, but a young MJ could immediately be a starter and replace Andrew Toney's spot, while Barkley would have to play behind Moses Malone from the bench. The organization thought long and hard about this trade, more seriously than others, but ultimately turned it down. If it did go through and MJ joined the Sixers in their heyday,
how many championships, guys?
That would be freaking crazy. They might have won a few more titles in the 80s. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I don't know, just because like I know we all love the game of basketball so much. You like look at history, look how things panned out. It's so weird to think about, almost like that butterfly effect, where it's just like, man, if any one little thing would have went through at any point in time, it could have changed the entire course of the NBA and how we remember to this day, man. So yeah, that's very interesting. Very good video by Andy Hoops. Link to his channel description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out.